Didn't you, folks? Yes, it's old truth speaker. It's been quite a while. Like I said, I've been very busy of late. And I'm coming to you with some more very disturbing news from another bad police department. And this one, I'm just going to give you a little bit of information. And it starts out about the Colorado Police Department. And it says, a viral video of Colorado cops holding a black family at gunpoint ignites outrage and a call for reform. The Aurora Colorado Police Department has apologized. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you can keep your apology. You just got through murdering a young 23-year-old African American last year while he was in your custody, and he didn't do anything. So as far as you need total reform. They handcuffed a young black family, including a 12-year-old and a 17-year-old girl, and held them at gunpoint. Get this, at gunpoint, like they hardened criminals. But outrage, here it goes, continued to brew over the treatment of this family and the distrust of the Colorado Police Department for when they are arrested at the end of 2019, poor young Elijah McClain, remember? After he died in their custody. Yeah, they had the poor young fellow in a chokehold. They had the wrong man. He didn't even do anything. Let me give you a little bit more information. Aurora Police Department on Sunday stopped Brittany Gilliam and her 4 nieces, ranging in age from 6 to 12, in a parking lot and forced the girls onto the hot pavement. As you can hear them, passersby can hear them screaming and crying. And they handcuffed the 12 and 17-year-old girls. The officer detained Gilliam and her family because the license plate, get this now, the license plate number on Gilliam's SUV matched the one for a motorcycle reported stolen, which Aurora Police Department admitted it was an error. It was an error, really. You mistook a motorcycle for an SUV? Really? A video of the incident captured by a bystander was posted on social media and had been seen or viewed over 2.3 million times. Here we go. The chief, Vanessa Wilson, issued an apology. You can keep your apology. And look at it. And offered therapy to the family on Monday, saying the officers were trained to handle possible stolen cars by drawing their guns and ordering passengers to lie on the ground, but added that officers should be allowed to deviate from this process. No, you should know who you're looking for. How in the hell can you mistake a SUV for a stolen motorcycle? Even though they had the same number, license number, but Miss Gilliam SUV was from Colorado. It had Colorado plates. The motorcycle was stolen from another state. Really? Okay. Let's get just a little bit more information. I won't be long. I just want to know what your thoughts are. It seems that history keeps repeating itself over and over and over again. You see, racism has not gone anywhere. That is an evil that must be addressed by this nation and done away with. I mean, we're not going to stop racism altogether, but this should not be in places where who can, like the young girl, she said, when my life is in jeopardy, who can I call? You can't call the police department because they're murdering black people and people of color for nothing. Hell, they've even shot down some innocent white people for nothing. Crooked, bad, and especially racist cops are the seeds of discord every place they are in America. And one thing, good cops will not tell on bad cops. See, that's a problem. I've seen it over and over and over again. And let me get back to Elijah McClain briefly. Like I said, the black man, Elijah McClain, died after Aurora police put him in a chokehold and the paramedics injected him with ketamine, used as a heavy sedative. Because he had a health problem. He said he stays to himself and he's not bothering anybody. Please, sir, I have not broken any laws. But they just grabbed him and put him in a chokehold just because he was black. Social media users also pointed out that in 2012, James Holmes, now get this, James Holmes, the white male shooter who killed 12 people and injured 70 at an Aurora movie theater, has been taken into custody alive, probably because of the color of his skin. It's like they don't even care. Tariana Thomas Gilliam, a 14-year-old niece who was pinned down by Aurora Police Department, she said, she told Denver News, who am I going to call when my life is in danger? You see, that's the problem. You can't call the police. This is why African Americans do not trust the police department. And I'm going to tell you, of all my life, you know, it seems to be getting worse. It seems to be, see, let me tell you one thing I found out. I've heard this when I was about 6 or 7. And as you can see, I'm nowhere near 6 or 7 years old. I don't care how educated you think you are, the heart, the feeling of the heart, when you induce this type of behavior or teach your children hatred based on race or the color of a person's skin or the language they speak, that seems to stay with them to their dying days unless something happens. That's why it's very important to teach your children love instead of hate. That's the God kind of way. I want to tell you about this is why it's so important to be careful who you are voting into these offices. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Most politicians are full of crap as a constipated elephant. They're in the pockets of big business and special interest groups. And they're passing bills and laws, or they're trying to, based on who the lobbyists that are paying them, or the special interest groups. They're going to put forth bills to try to pass them because of based on the people that's paying them. Have nothing to do with the people that put them in the office. That's why a lot of them are nothing more than, not all, but a lot of them are nothing more than clowns. I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to leave you this food for thought. In the Emancipation Proclamation, I mispronounced that, please forgive me. At the Emancipation Proclamation, when Lincoln freed the slaves, there were 4 million blacks that were free, or were supposed to have been. At that time, they owed no more than 1/2 of 1% of America's wealth. 150 years later, and 60 years of marching and protesting for jobs and justice and for equality, that's all. 150 years later, my people still own less than 1/2 of 1% of America's wealth after dying in every war. Gentrification, redlining policies, racist banking policies, racially profiled by police department. Most of the civil rights leaders actually murdered, like Dr. King, Malcolm X. Well, you're not all agree with, but All of these people were McGirls. All of these people were murdered. And still here we are fighting for the right to vote and to be treated equal. Folks, we need God like never before. Unless we repent, like you see plagues and famine and just everything is going crazy for people of all races, we have seen nothing yet. We need prayer like never before. What are your thoughts? Does it look like America's getting any better? Or is it getting worse? Be careful out there, folks. And not only that, we have a plague, the coronavirus, that we're fighting. Stay safe, folks, and please pray.